Yesterday, a 21-year-old National Guardsman, Jake Teixeira, was arrested for allegedly leaking confidential Pentagon documents to a private Discord group. Now, immediately after that, some Democrats were labeling him a traitor, saying that this is obviously incredibly serious. There were others, though, that leaped to his defense, including Representative Marjorie Greene, who tweeted that Jake is white, male, Christian, and anti-war. That makes him an enemy to the Biden regime. And he told the truth about troops being on the ground in Ukraine and a lot more. Ask yourself, who is the real enemy? A young, low-level National Guardsman, or the administration that is waging war in Ukraine, a non-NATO nation, against nuclear Russia without war powers? It wasn't just her, though. Tucker Carlson also leaped to his defense. Take a look.
The news media are celebrating the capture of the kid who told Americans what's actually happening in Ukraine. They are treating him like Osama bin Laden, maybe a little worse, actually, because unlike Al-Qaeda, apparently this kid is a racist.
If the media is celebrating him, I don't feel like I am. But he has a good point about the Biden thing there. Jake Teixeira was hauled in, whereas with Obama it was catch and release, I guess. He's off living on a farm upstate, I think, right, Tucker? But anyway, what do you guys think about this? The move to basically say that because he released these documents that they believe reflect poorly on the war effort or something like that, that makes him a hero and that Biden obviously despises him or something. I feel like they're filling a lot of the blanks there, but what do you think?
Let me fill in a couple more blanks. So some of the stuff that he released certainly helps the Russians have a lot better intelligence on the Ukrainians and us. So I don't know if that's part of the reason why Tucker Carlson's of the world are celebrating. Now, secondly, this is the same Fox News that told us Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, et cetera, were the worst traitors in the world. And now all of a sudden they're celebrating a guy who leaked documents, who, by the way, is not even a whistleblower. He didn't leak it to the press. He didn't say this is a national security issue. And he didn't say that, hey, the American people need to know this because it's their government doing something wrong behind their back. No, he just leaked it to his buddies to impress them. And really sensitive information that can get people killed. Now, wait a minute, actually think about Edward Snowden. Wasn't Edward Snowden also a Christian white male and anti-war? But yet Donald Trump wanted to imprison him for life. Is Donald Trump against Christian white males? I'm just using Marjorie Taylor Greene's logic here. So they're hilarious, they're a joke. And guys, yesterday on the show, and the first day that it broke, I said, you gotta evaluate the evidence based on what he leaked. Was it a whistleblower or was it gratuitous and endangered our secrets and our sources, right? And I said, I don't care that he's racist and anti-Semitic. That's his personal issue. As far as the law is concerned, I care about what he leaked, right? But apparently the Tucker Carlsons and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world do care that he's racist and anti-Semitic. They have found that as a reason to defend him. That's amazing.
So I think we need to be cautious with how we react to what was actually leaked, right? They use the same line of attack against Chelsea Manning, against Snowden. People conflated the two because they were so confused because a lot of this stuff is obfuscated. The line of attack against Manning especially was, she's gonna get people killed with these leaks. Well, is that proven? It really wasn't clear. But they're doing that to scare people into just accepting and adopting the national security line. And I'm also curious why there was this rush from Bellingcat, which is very suspicious, a lot of red flags around them. And also New York Times reporters rushing to dox this person. Why? How is that in the national interest? Shouldn't the federal government be doing that? It's just very odd for big institutions and legacy media outlets to be rushing to dox somebody who, by all accounts, didn't even intentionally try to leak these things. Like you're pointing out, Cenk, wasn't a whistleblower, wasn't doing it out of concern over what the US is doing. Was just trying to brag to his friends in a private Discord server. And on that front, I think it poses a bunch of new challenges for the military and for the national security state going forward, because this is a really new sort of issue, new sort of security issue. Traditionally, these types of leaks have either been handed over to a reporter in secret or uploaded to different reporters or whistleblowers or places like WikiLeaks. Now it's this guy thought he was private, and it really makes you think about what actually is private in our digital lives. But the one thing we really need to pump the brakes on is what came out today, which is that the federal government is now going to consider and evaluate options on how they can monitor and surveil private chats like Discord. So they're using this again as an opportunity to further encroach on what should be your digital privacy. They've already infiltrated every other aspect of our lives through things like the Patriot Act. Now they're using this to justify more surveillance. So we really need to slow down and not unilaterally accept this national security line that this is going to put anybody in danger.
Look, I like we've now said a couple times, I don't think this guy's a whistleblower, and I think we can't have every bozo who works with national security secrets just bring him the Mar-a-Lago and give him out the guests. But seriously, like whether it's Trump or this guy, we can't just let them break the law nonstop. I'm not saying rush to judgment. Definitely, you're right that let's be considerate. Let's make sure that was it really breaking the law? Did it really endanger people? But if it did, then I think he should face the consequences for sure. Now, having said that, the thing I agree with you 200% on is because he just randomly put it on some sort of Discord server doesn't mean that the digital privacy of all Americans should be violated. That's a hell no to that extension. No way. And then no one on the right wants that. No one on the left wants that. Only like establishment goons in Washington want it.
Yeah, I agree. The idea that you would use this one incident as like the rationale for, I guess those aren't private anymore, I guess, and other similar services. Discord obviously is one of many similar sorts of services, seems crazy. When it comes to the content of the secrets, I honestly, I don't even particularly care. I don't even know at this point what a whistleblower is, what makes you one, what makes you not. We will see as stuff comes out. For me, it's just the obvious hypocrisy that, look, Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Greene want the US to pull out of Ukraine, to not support anymore. That's it. And so thus they filter everything that happened here through that lens. And they're not even satisfied with what was actually revealed. Tucker Carlson was saying on his show that it revealed that US soldiers were in a shooting war with Russia. Didn't show that. Fox News had already confirmed that it didn't show that earlier in the day. He's not interested in what's really going on. And one would think that if reality, that which a whistleblower can reveal to us is what's most important, then you wouldn't feel the need to lie about what had just been revealed. And then also Marjorie Greene, her involvement here, she's using this as, in the same way that Tucker Carlson will every once in a while use the term elite to pretend that he's a populist, she's using this to pretend that she's anti-war. She's gonna go right back to advocating for an invasion of northern Mexico next week. So it's just BS. The idea that she thinks that we need to have like more sympathy for people who leak stuff. Literally last week, she was calling for Alvin Bragg to be locked up because they thought that the exact count of indictments had been leaked maybe 60 minutes before Trump was arraigned. She said that's illegal, he should be locked up. So the idea that they love leaks all of a sudden is ridiculous too. I think that everyone should try to maintain a standard and apply it across these. That is not what has happened. As you guys have pointed out, Tucker Carlson was attacking Edward Snowden back in the day. Donald Trump, when he left office, he gave pardons or reduced sentences to 143 people, from Steve Bannon to Lil Wayne. Snowden wasn't one of those. Julian Assange wasn't one of those. If there was any behind the scenes advocacy on the part of Tucker Carlson or Marjorie Greene for those pardons, I haven't heard anything about it. And so for me, it's just the massive hypocrisy. Everything is 100% contingent on what these people want politically out of each individual circumstance. Principles be damned.
Yeah, super quick. I just want to follow up on that. I was going to say the same thing about Bannon. He's an absolute criminal and pardoned by Donald Trump, but he couldn't find his way to pardoning Assange or Snowden. So they don't care about whistleblowers at all. All they want to do is protect criminals. And then on war, oh, we're so anti-war. Oh my God, we like this Teixeira kid, not because he said the goddamn Jews, but because he said, oh, we shouldn't go to war. first of all, you don't even know his war positions, and you don't know if the things that he leaked will lead to less war or more war. But besides that, Mark Levin and Steve Bannon just earlier this week we're talking about, well, we got to get ready for war with China. We might have to go to World War III. Anti-war my ass. And right wingers, for God's sake, you care at all that your politicians and leaders are total hypocrites and have no principles at all? And like, what's your position? Are you anti-war or are you pro-war? So when you hear a right-wing pundit or a right-wing congressperson tell you that all of a sudden war is awesome with China, and then but turn around and say, oh, well, I don't like war when it comes to Ukraine, don't you go, hey, isn't that kind of weird? What's your actual position? Can you think for yourself? Is that possible? Just put a couple of thoughts behind it. Answer those questions for yourself, because the rest of us are scratching our heads going, I don't even know what the right wing thinks. Yeah. I have no idea what your positions are.
No, they're not really consistent on that, but there are moments where they do break through into an anti-war conversation that we do need to be worried about. The left shouldn't cede ground to the right on anti-war rhetoric, genuine or not. I think most of it is disingenuous, but they are making inroads in that space where people, these aren't conversations we would have about the right's anti-war positions 5-10 years ago. So we do need to be worried about how this keeps popping up and how it can deceive people. But ultimately, I think they're disingenuous, but we really shouldn't cede ground on things. And that's why, to go back to Ukraine, we shouldn't have had the response from Democrats when progressives said, hey, let's consider diplomacy and the role in this conflict right now. Maybe there should be an increased focus on diplomacy. When you have establishment Democrats beating them back for even suggesting that, it's a really tame suggestion. That gives a window that the right wing can exploit. Again, I think they're disingenuous on this, but they know how to weaponize that rhetoric to make Democrats look like war hawks. So we shouldn't give them that opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and we need to make sure that we point out the inconsistency on particular politicians. I mean, the idea that every one of them is salivating for the conquering of Ukraine seems inconsistent with being just all for peace. When it comes to Donald Trump, I mean, the fact that we've pointed out many times that he massively increased the amount of airstrikes that were going on in Syria, deployed the Moab in Afghanistan, sold weapons to Saudi Arabia, supported the war effort on Yemen, sent special forces into a number of other states. The idea that these people are anti-war should be on its face ridiculous. For some reason on the internet it's not, so it's up to us in front of the camera and all of you watching to make sure that people understand what a farce that is.